Here's a Ford Puma, but maybe not as you know it. Powered by a hybrid engine, but again, maybe not as you know it. The Puma model line now serves the smallest, most fashionable end of the SUV segment, and its engine isn't in any way full electric. Once you've adjusted to both those things, and taken a long, hard look at what the Blue Oval brand has brought us here, as we're going to do in this film, we think you'll like what you'll find. Frugal, fun and well connected, it fits with the spirit of its time, just as the original Puma model did.
We've been waiting a long time for a small crossover that was genuinely good to drive. Well, this is it. Given that the Puma draws so heavily on the car that is a Super Mini class benchmark in this regard, Ford's Fiesta, you could argue that the creators of this SUV didn't have to try too hard in that regard, but they did manage to mess things up with the brand's previous entrant in this segment, the old EcoSport. The Puma is very different. It's slightly impaired, well yes of course it is, by the high-sidedness and by the slight extra weight that afflicts all little SUVs of this kind, but the compromises here have been kept to a minimum, and thanks to suspension embellishments and a pretty great torque vectoring system, the car turns into corners at speed really keenly. Now if you're driving like this, then you'll want to set the selectable drive mode system to the sport mode, which firms up the steering, and you'll enjoy even more the benefits of the electrified tech that has a lot to do with the ready eagerness that we just referenced. Almost all models will be sold with the MHEV mild hybrid engine that we're trying here. It's a variation on Ford's usual 1 litre 3-cylinder EcoBoost petrol unit, which is in this case offered in either 125 or 155 PS guises. Mild hybrid engineering is nothing like as efficient as full hybrid tech, but it doesn't come with a big fat price premium, and it boosts driver feel because it's lighter and it adds a slice of extra pulling power just when you need it. The setup works via a beefed up starter generator driven by a belt at the front of the engine, and that stores the energy that's harvested when you brake or decelerate in a tiny 48 volt lithium ion battery secreted at the back of the car. That provides a bit of extra zip when you accelerate. Ford says up to 50 newton meters of extra torque, and it delivers a little electric boost from low revs to torque fill while you're waiting for the turbo to spool up. That has a lot to do with this car's fizzy, revvy feel, but it also plays its part in creating efficiency stats usefully improved over those you'll get from conventionally engined rivals. This 125 PS MHEV variant returns up to 51.4 mpg on the WLTP combined cycle and up to 96 grams per kilometre of NEDC rated CO2. That's in manual form. An auto gearbox is also offered with this unit, and Ford also offers the option of a 1.5 litre DDCI diesel for those who really want that. So, what do you think? Well, there's certainly a lot going on here, maybe even a hint of miniature Porsche Macan if you squint a bit. These unusual canoe-shaped headlights are high up on the bonnet, like the first Puma, and Ford says that the beady daytime running lights you get on ST-line variants, like this one, are a nod to a more modern Ford coupe, the GT supercar. And from the side, well, most compact crossovers have a wedge-style profile, something the designers here deliberately wanted to avoid, hence this more distinctive silhouette with its undulating shoulder line, floating A-pillar, this angled crease which flows up from the front wheel arch, and the exaggerated rear haunches, all disguising the fact that the bits that you can't see come straight from a humble Fiesta. This Puma sits on the same Global B platform as that car, and though, as you may have seen in our driving experience section, the suspension bolted to it is pretty bespoke, the under-bonnet stuff is pretty much identical too. That won't matter much to likely buyers, but they will want this Puma to feel considerably more upmarket than its Super Mini stablemate inside. Let's take a look. Is it different enough? Well, you decide. There are certainly lots of Fiesta parts carried over, but you do get a bespoke digital instrument cluster screen, and you sit 60mm higher than you would in that car, particularly with pricier variants like the one we're trying here, you might wish that that cabin had less of a super mini ambiance, but the designers have clearly tried to do what they could to give this interior a special and lifestyle orientated feel. Things like the cool silver trimming around the gear knob and the strangely conventional handbrake, and this ST line variant's carbon style fascia finishing, the red highlights around the outer vents and the red stitching. The key design difference though here is the 12.3-inch instrument cluster screen that we just mentioned, which is standard on the ST line models. It springs into life when you select one of the driving modes, and it's almost infinitely customizable with information between the two virtual gauges. Anything this display can't tell you will probably be covered off by this 8-inch Sync 3 centre dash monitor. It offers helpful shortcut audio, phone, navigation, apps and setting selections at the base of the screen, and it incorporates an excellent quality 7-speaker DAB sound system that is upgradable to a 10-speaker B&O premium setup at affordable extra cost. All-round visibility, that could be better, but there are plenty of places to store things, and there's a brilliant standard of media connectivity with a built-in embedded Ford Pass Connect Wi-Fi modem, plenty of connectivity ports and a standard wireless charging mat. Time to take a seat in the rear. Now, our hopes weren't especially high here. A Fiesta is, after all, somewhat on the cramped side at the back, and despite its lengthier platform, this crossover isn't really much bigger than one of those, but it would make a lot more sense than a Super Mini as a second family car. Now, true, these small side windows don't help to create much of a roomy feel, and if you have lanky teenagers to ferry about, then we'd steer you clear of the optional panoramic glass roof that eats into the headroom. Otherwise, though, a couple of 6-footers would be comfortable enough, and that'd be helped by the way that they could slide their big size 10s under the seat in front, although there is less leg and knee room than you get in a segment rival like the Skoda Kamiq or the Volkswagen T-Roc. This hands-free powered tailgate is optional, but you don't really need it because the hatch is light to lift and it opens to reveal something we haven't seen for a very long time: a decently sized boot in a small Ford. This one has a 456 litre capacity, one of the largest in the segment. Now, you might have noticed when I lifted the tailgate that the parcel shelf rises out of the way with it, flat against the tailgate glass. Equally neat is the adjustable height boot floor, beneath which lies this 68 litre recessed well. Now, Ford enthusiastically calls this a mega box, and it allows you to carry tall items like electrical equipment upright. Push forward the 60/40 split backrest, and a 1,216 litre space reveals itself. Ford's decision to reuse the Puma name wasn't universally popular amongst enthusiasts for the original model, but that doesn't matter much. After all, for the target market here, this car's badge is more likely to suggest sportswear or trainers than a classically styled sports coupe, and that lifestyle orientation fits with the kind of little SUV that this Ford is trying to be: active, trendy, charismatic and current. Overall, though, there's an awful lot to like here. Having moved its third-generation Cougar SUV a little upmarket, Ford needed a more credible entry-level point for its SUV lineup, and this Puma fills that role very well, while setting fresh standards for the kind of driving enjoyment a little car of this kind can serve up. As enthusiasts, we still can't help wishing it was a small coupe, but as pragmatists, we reckon Ford has got this car just about right.